have any teeth.
No teeth, so how do they eat?
It's for beaks.
Well, when they get their food, they get it into their gizzard and they crunch it up. And guess what they use to help crunch it up?
Your beaks.
They'll eat little pebbles and oyster shells on the ground that we leave for them, and then they'll use that as their teeth so that they just crunch up the food after they eat it. The seeds and the pellets and all the different types of feed, the corn. Do we have any other questions? I have a question for you. What direction does a chicken's eyes blink?
Big eyes.
Do they go down?
Yes.
They actually go up. They blink from the bottom up. That's how they close their eyelids. So after the baby chickens are born, you can take a look.
That's when the babies will hatch.
That's right, after they're hatched. So the other thing is when a baby chick tries to hatch, they will work on the inside of the egg, and then they'll fall asleep inside the egg. And sometimes the very first one to start to pip through, and you can see their beak coming out, sometimes the first one to pip through is the last one to actually get out of their egg.
I know what it is.
Yeah?
The hatchery, your eggs will open it.
Yes, they will open up the egg. That's right. Any other questions for me?
So how old will the chickens be when we give them back to you?
You will babysit our chickens for 2 weeks.
Are you kidding
We
me?
get to watch them
So you
grow
get
for
to keep
2
them
weeks.
for 2 weeks, and then I'll take them back to their mom and dad.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
do you think you're going to be able to hold the baby chickens?
No.
Well, if your teacher lets you, as soon as they're born, they can be held. But they have to be held very gently.
I'm
What do you think you have to do after you hold a baby chicken?
Put it back.
Put it back, and then what do you have to do?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Very good. Why is that?
Because it's dirty.
Because how are they dirty?
Germs.
Germs. Can I tell you a secret?
What?
Baby chickens poop.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god, that's it.
Hey, guess where they poop? They poop in their cage. And then guess what happens? Sometimes they walk in their poop. So when you hold the baby chickens, guess where the poop is?
On them.
On their feet. It's very important that you wash your hands afterwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It really does make sense.
Do we have to feed the baby chickens?
Well, there will be a food dish and a water dish. So you just have to make sure that they have all the food and water they need.
Let's see. Oh, is that the food dish and a water? This must be the food dish.
That's
Is that
right. That's
Why
because
does it have little holes in it like this? Look, friends, it has little holes. I wonder what those little holes are for.
what do you think that those holes are for?
The eggs.
No, the eggs are hatched
It's so they
already.
can
This
put
is
their
for
heads in there and get to the food.
Oh, because maybe they might put their feet with poop in it if it
Right.
wasn't like that. Oh, that makes. Is that why you were saying?
So when you fill up the food dish, you
This
fill it up this way, and then you take the lid and you stick it like this, and then you get it over the cage and you flip it over and you try not to get the food everywhere. And this is the water
water
dish.
works the same way, huh?
So you fill up the water like this, and you put the lid like that, and you flip it over and you try not to get wet.
How often do we have to do
I
that?
have a question.
Yes.
How about that one don't have holes and that one does?
It has one small hole there. And then the water will fill up to the ledge. And then when, yep,
I can see
I'll
it.
even take this off. You can see the hole that's inside there. That's where the water
It's like
comes
a
out.
door.
Yeah, it's like a door.
I can see it. That's very easy.
Yeah.
It's like noisy one chick at a time.
So the baby chickens,
Like that.
you will probably have 4 or 5 of the eggs hatch. because sometimes they don't always hatch. Either they're not fertilized and they don't become a chicken, or sometimes the egg just is not viable, which means it is unable to hatch. All right? So you will probably have 4 or 5 baby chicks hatch. If you have 4 or 5 baby chicks hatch, when they eat, they will probably eat about this much food in a single week. All right? And as they get bigger, they eat more food, just like you. As you guys get bigger, you guys eat more food too, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's enough food that if all 7 hatch, you'll still have enough food. Okay? I also left enough bedding so that the bedding can be changed once. All right? But guess what baby chicks do when the feed is in here? They put their beak in there and they move the food all around. And sometimes the food falls out. Okay? But they will eat the food that's in the pine shavings. So, that's why we only change the pine shavings once. If all 7 baby chicks hatch, after about 10 days, it might smell a little bit.
Baby smell like a
Maybe.
chicken.
But with 4 or 5 chickens that hatch, usually you don't smell anything and you won't have to change any of the pine shavings. And then I'll change them when I get home. So,
how many chickens do you have on your farm?
we have a lot. Are there any guesses?
55.
Yes.
Like
Well, we have a lot more than 5. So this is what happens. At our farm, we get a bunch of chickens, and then we find people that want to have chickens at their homes. Okay? And then we supply a coop and all the supplies, and we bring the chickens to your home, and then you get to have chickens that lay eggs at your house so that you can have eggs for breakfast. So we get a bunch of chickens in the spring, and then we deliver those chickens to a bunch of different people like you so that they can have farm fresh eggs at their home, and they don't have to, without a commitment, which means that at the end of the rental they can return them. Or if they love their chickens, then they can keep them and they can adopt them. So, but all of our chickens that we bring are already laying eggs. So,
Very neat.
any questions for me? What time is school out today?
12.
At 12. Okay, so we're going to get this plugged in, and this is going to get warmed up. Okay? Inside of here, you're going to notice something. There's a water reservoir.
Ooh.
Okay? Every 2 to 3 days, or when it's low, or if you open it.
Have a hole in it.
No, it doesn't have a hole. They're not going to drink
So,
that water.
so what's going to happen is this needs to be filled every 2 to 3 days with warm water. Okay? When this has a countdown timer on the top of it, it's going to count down from 21 and it's going to go all the way to 0, and I'll show you this. When it gets to 2, you're going to fill this all the way up. All right? And this keeps the baby chickens from drinking that water because you don't want them to drink that water.
Oh.
All right?
What happened?
So,
They'll get
well, you
sick.
just don't want to. So, when it gets down to day 2, you do not want to open this or take this lid off until all the baby chicks have hatched, or all the baby chicks that you think are going to hatch have hatched. The reason why is because if you open it up too soon, the chicks that have not hatched, they can dry out inside of the egg. And if they dry out inside the egg, then it can kill them and they'll die.
And the
So,
dye?
we want to make sure that this stays closed until they've all hatched. And we have a phone number. You can call us. You can text us if you have any questions about if it's time to open that up. We also want to use warm water when we put that inside the water reservoir. So during the first
Just warm to your touch or like hot
Just
water?
warm to your
Just
touch.
warm to your touch.
during the first 19 days, you're only going to have half of it filled, and then the last 2 days you're going to fill up
Fill it
both
to
of
the
them.
tip top and don't open it.
And then don't open it until after everybody's hatched.
Okay.
So, all right. Do you have any questions?